Grr, I'm a creature. Welcome, huge movie fanatic Nate, stopping on by. This time I'm coming at you for a movie review for a movie that came out the same year I came out, if you understand what I mean. Not that way. I came out of the womb. I've never came out, and I'm never gonna come out of anything except the womb. Well, I mean, I guess I've come out. I mean, everyone's been in a closet, which I guess means everyone's really come out of a closet. I've been in a bathroom, bedroom, living room, kitchen, house, cabin, tent. I've been in all kinds of things and I've come out. So anyway, I'm here to review the motion picture from 1976, the kind of Bigfoot film by the name of Creature from Black Lake. Believe it or not, this movie has existed as long as I've been alive, which is like 20, 22, 23 years at this point. Just kidding. If you can do the math, you can probably figure out how old I am. It's just ironic and crazy that this movie's been out for nearly quite a long time, and I've never seen it until now. Basically, I think it was last year that there was like a new 2K or 4K scan of this movie and a Blu-ray put out, and I was just, dicking around Prime Video. I do streaming a lot more in the winter than I do in the summer because there's just more time to, do nothing but be inside and be warm in the winter in Minnesota. So I'm like, oh wow, Creature from Black Lake's on here. That's really cool. So I checked it out, and first off the bat, it's probably the beautiful new, Blu-ray high definition, either 2K, I think it might be 4K scan presented on Prime. So it looks really, really beautiful. When the movie started, it was like right up my alley. Oh, what I should say about this movie is, I'm pretty sure the movie Legend of Boggy Creek from, was that 72 or 73 or 74? I think that movie started, and the success of that movie started the whole Bigfoot craze of the 70s. And once there's one movie that comes out that's successful, then all kinds of other movies come out to try to capitalize on the success. And this film is one of them. And as I said, just by chance, I have gone my whole life up until this point without seeing this movie, and I finally got a chance to see it. At the very beginning of it, very promising, with two trappers, driving around in a motorboat, checking their traps, only to find that everything that they've trapped has been like stolen and ripped out of the traps. Really, really, really cool, boggy environment and all this and that. Right up my alley. I love the woods, bogs, lakes, rivers, streams, kind of, summertime atmosphere in these kind of movies. Perfect atmosphere. When I started this movie, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm glad this is on Blu-ray because I'll probably be picking this one up. Basically what happens in the beginning is very much like the movie Bog that would come out years later, made in Wisconsin. Pretty sure I reviewed Bog possibly sitting in a lake a long time ago, maybe 2014 possibly. Bog has since gotten a high definition scan and is on all kinds of streaming services, and I'm waiting for the Blu-ray. I might be totally down to buy a Blu-ray of the HD scan of Bog, but whatever, at least we've got HD scan of Bog streaming, I guess. So what happens is, one of the guys gets pulled out of the boat and presumably drowned, killed, /eaten, whatever, by the, creature from Black Lake. That's another thing that's kind of interesting about this movie, very much with like Bill Urbain's Rana, the Legend of Shadow Lake. Like, Shadow Lake is never mentioned in Rana, and I don't think Black Lake is ever mentioned in this movie. It's kind of like the title uses a lake name that is never alluded to in the film itself, which is kind of interesting. This one did it before Rana, just by a handful of years. But, I mean, this stuff takes place not so much in a lake as it is just bogs and woods and whatever. But, yeah, the beginning of the movie is very promising. Oh, I should also mention that Dean Cundey, who would go on to, be the director of photography on Halloween, Halloween 2, Halloween 3, Fog, Escape from New York, a lot of early John Carpenter movies, and then he'd go on to do Back to the Future trilogy, Jurassic Park, and just be this big-time freaking cinematographer guy. He did the photography for this film. This might be one of the earliest Dean Cundey movies I've ever seen. I've seen a lot of post-Halloween stuff, but I'm not sure I've ever seen pre-Halloween Dean Cundey. The scene that takes place, where the professor's at the college or whatever, and I was like, oh my God, it's like Dean Cundey's like 15 or something because it just flooded with light. So, But that's like the worst looking scene in the whole movie. Everything else looks really good, especially the exterior nighttime stuff. This movie just follows two college students. One of them looks college age and the other one looks like he's 35 or something, so I don't quite understand that. But I actually like the two characters, the main two characters, who are basically set out on an expedition to go to this. They're from Chicago and they're going down to Louisiana or some southern state to go try to get some information about this Bigfoot creature that's, you know, rumored to be walking around and possibly killing people. I think they got wind of the story that this one trapper's buddy had been pulled out of the boat and, you know, drowned, killed, eaten, whatever. And they want to go down and investigate for, I don't know if it's for their class or if it's just for fun or whatever the hell it is for, but you spend the majority of the movie with these two guys, and you know their antics are fun, just like with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They drive a, you know, 70s era. I'm not big on necessarily vans, so I don't necessarily know, you know, 60s or 70s era van, very similar to the one in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And there's a lot of, you know, I'm all for this in these kind of movies too, like, you know, camping scenes and all these, you know, exterior nighttime scenes. So these guys, to save money, presumably do a lot of camping on their trip, and there's a lot of that going on, which is fun. But as the movie wore on, I became, you know, 30 minutes, halfway into the movie, I became aware of, like, okay, so there's not a whole lot of, like, creature in this movie, and the movie's basically almost like a comedy fluff piece about these two guys, which isn't bad. I mean, a movie that takes, you know, that comes out and was filmed and released in the mid-70s definitely has a charm in just existing for just, you know, capturing that era or whatever, and I definitely have that little bit of a whatever, just affinity for films from that era and stuff. But, you know, I was kind of disappointed as the movie wore on to be like, Jesus, you know, I mean, you know, as fun as it is maybe to see these two guys, you know, looking around for this and that and encountering different characters and people, some people, you know, not too keen about, you know, talking about the creature, the purported creature. Some others, I'll talk to you, but, you know, on the down low or whatever it's called. And just, I don't know, as the movie wore on, I became aware of, God, not a whole lot's happening other than just, it's the whole movie seems unfortunately like to be filler, unfortunately. And honestly, having seen the whole thing, that's what a lot of it is. Like, you got a cool creature scene at the beginning and cool creature stuff going on at the end, of course, with the climactic whatever. And I mean, not to say there's no creature stuff like halfway through. I mean, it's just, there is, but it's very minimal. And then they come up across this one character who, I guess, when he was a baby, his parents were changing a tire and came into, there's a little, you know, story that he tells that it's kind of like Silent Night, Deadly Night. Like, how does he remember if he's a baby, or maybe he was as a, you know, toddler, maybe not a baby or whatever. But tells a story from whatever the 50s, or when he was a toddler or whatever, when this family was attacked by the creature when they were changing the tire. One thing I don't want to forget to mention, though, for like being a low budget 70s movie, Bigfoot movie, I do feel like the creature is probably, you know, the actual costume and the facial makeup and what you see of the creature and stuff is probably one of the best, like, creature, Bigfoot slash, you know, wild men makeups in one of these Bigfoot movies that I've seen. Obviously, like Legend of Boggy Creek, like, you just pretty much don't really see anything. And I really like the way that the creature is handled, because not only do I like how the creature's appearance is when you do get glimpses, but I also like the fact that we only do get glimpses and we don't just get like a broad daylight, just, you know, full-on shot of the thing, front, back, face, everything. Not only is the way the creature is, you know, shown just with glimpses and this and that and shadows great, but it's also great the makeup that is revealed in those glimpses, which I think is some of the best Bigfoot, you know, Bigfoot, whatever you want to call it, makeup in one of these, well, actually in any Bigfoot movie that I've really seen. So hats off to the makeup guy. I think the actual creature slash Bigfoot makeup and, you know, furry suit, whatever, is really great in this movie. Not only that, but the performer that's wearing it is does a really good job being animalistic versus just a guy in a frickin' Bigfoot suit. So hats off to that. My only problem with that is, I mean, not a whole lot of creature action in the film. I guess as it wore on, I was a little bit disappointed. Like, okay, not that I need to see all kinds of innocent people drop dead or be killed and stuff, but like you just see the one guy pulled out of the boat at the beginning, and I don't know if anyone really dies, anyone else necessarily. I only I only saw it once, so it's possible someone else dies towards the end of the movie. But yeah, I mean, basically, if you haven't seen it, you're contemplating blind buying it or something, I just tread cautiously, because it's not a whole lot of creature. There's no TNA that I can remember, but there was one cool scene where there's at least some cute young women in the movie. There's a scene where the guys are trying to get lunch, and there's a lot of like quote unquote comedic scenes. I think that they're really trying to tread on the heels of Legend of Boggy Creek. I want to say I haven't seen that for the longest time. I know there's some like humorous bits in Town That Dreaded Sundown. I would imagine there was like try to be humorous bits in the original or the Legend of Boggy Creek, but there's a lot of stuff that tries to be humorous or whatever. And there's a scene where they're trying to get lunch and they freak out the waitress, and she basically spills their lunch on them before she has a chance to give it to them. And there's a couple of cute young girls that they meet up with at that place, and they end up inviting them to the campsite, and they end up showing up. And another thing about the sheriff in this movie is I recognized him from the what the hell is it called? I'm gonna say Motel Hell, the Mountaintop Motel Massacre. The guy who's the fat preacher. Honestly, this is like, I don't know, it's like 10 years before Mountaintop Motel Massacre, and the guy looks just as old in this movie as he does in that movie, which is strange. You think 10 years you'd be able to discern something, and it's crazy that the guy, looking the way he does and being so overweight in this movie, lived another 10 years to film Mountaintop Motel Massacre. But the fat preacher guy from Mountaintop Motel Massacre is a sheriff in this film, and it turns out that he's the father of one of the hot young girls, or whatever. I guess maybe not hot, but cute young girls. And yeah, so at the end of the day, unfortunately, this is probably not something I was excited, the first half or so. I was going to like buy this on Blu-ray and stuff, but seeing the whole thing all the way through, I'm like, God, I mean, obviously it's captures the 70s well, and I think I like the two main college guy characters. I think they're great, or not great, but they're fun to just be around and hang out with and experience and stuff. But at the end of the day, I'm not too sure there's enough here to really, I don't know. Part of me wants the Blu-ray, part of me doesn't. I do love the exterior nighttime ambiance, and Dean Cundey does a great job with the lighting and cinematography for the nighttime stuff. Obviously, there's some day for night in this movie as well, and I guess my biggest gripe is not very much creature action. Unfortunately, my star rating, I guess I could go as high as, we'll go as high as 1.5 stars out of 4 stars. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's got that 70s, Bigfoot, low-budget Bigfoot movie charm to it, but my biggest problem, once again, in closing, is that just too little stuff going on in terms of whatever, suspense, monster mayhem. Usually with a movie like this, like with Rana, The Legend of Shadow Lake or something, or even probably Boggy Creek, I mean, you just have, throughout the course of the movie, you just have more instances. Even if no one dies, even if he just spooks them, it seems to me like Legend of Boggy Creek has scenes where he's, outside the house and the dog's barking, and it's just like, that was the first and last time they saw the creature, and you got the narrator, and I mean, it doesn't even have to kill or eat anything, just have the frickin' creature's presence be around, so you remember that what you're watching is a creature feature and not like, these two college buddies on the road trip thing. But yeah, unfortunately, a lot of potential, but in my opinion, I mean, if you like a creature feature with very little creature and just mostly, two college guys trying to just hanging out on a road trip or whatever, more power to you. But yeah, it's I don't know if maybe I could watch it again or something. I mean, let's face it, it didn't blow my ass off. It'd be nice to have the Blu-ray, but will I really watch it? It's hard to say. I guess that'll pretty much do it for my review. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks a lot for watching, and as always, we'll catch you on the next video.